What's up, brothers and sisters? Can all hear Bulls on Wall Street, guys? Hope you all having a fantastic day. We got a lot to uncover in the stock market today. We had a little bit of a rest day after many days of just some gangbuster action. So let's spend some time digging into the stock market indexes, what's happening with the QQQ, the Nasdaq, and the S&P 500, the SPY, and then we'll dig into the watch list for tomorrow and the coming week. I'll make sure to have a couple of longs, a couple of shorts, some day trades and some swing trades that we cover all the bases. In this type of market that's been a runaway, it's important to be diverse. There have been excellent day trading opportunities, but frankly, there's been, I think, even more opportunity on the swing trading side. So you don't want to be too dogmatic. But the other thing is that, we are a little bit late in the cycle. We've been running hard since April. We're coming into middle of August, and so, breathers and rotations can happen. So let's dig in. So first of all, we had a rest day in the QQQs. We came kind of right into resistance and just broke a little bit over and then kind of right back under, right? To be expected as you get an overbought condition. I believe we're at an 85 stochastics. We were at the top of the Bollinger Band, and we were just at the top of the range, right? So having a little bit of a pullback is okay. If you look at the intraday action, it reflected that we had a nice, morning pop. Everything looked great. And then you just got a little bit extended, and these things happen. Guys, let me just say something, in general, what I've noticed with indexes is, if you have a strong pierce of the upper Bollinger Band, see, like you get these kind of bigger ones, you almost always pull back, in general. It's not tried and true, but if you get a strong one where you get a candle completely outside or half a candle, in general, if you go back, that tends to happen. It just means you're a little bit stretched. It doesn't mean that you're pulling back for more than even a day or two, but we can back and fill some of this area. Ideally, if we came back to here and then took off, that would really be a nice setup. Beyond that, though, there's still a lot of good-looking setups, even though things have looked frothy for some time. That can happen, and they can keep going for a little bit. So let's have a little bit of first some potential shorts in case we need them. I think on the short side, Palantir has probably the most room to fall, even though they had the gangbuster earnings report. I didn't read them, but I'm guessing. And you had a really big push. You're probably a little bit extended. You probably need to come back. It's very typical, especially in a higher float name like this, where, after 4, 5, 6 days, you'll come back and retest the 9 EMA, maybe even undercut it a little bit, and then you rip back. And there's no sign that this trend is ending anytime soon. I'm just talking about, in specific for maybe a day trade here or there, right? So I think that's top of the list on the large cap side. On the more of a mid cap size, I would go with BMR. I was fighting with this thing all day today. I was fighting with it. I actually made money on it, but it was a little bit tricky. I was pre-market short, caught a couple points, reshorted it, lost a point, shorted again, made 2 points, so just like kind of nickel and diming. I was hoping for the big home run. I didn't get it. There was one really good setup, at the double top here. And but it was flying, and so it was hard to get a lot of size. What I've noticed is if they don't rug like the first few minutes and then start trending down, my statistics for me is just that I'm not good at fighting it. Like there's some traders that are really good at like shorting the spikes, then they cover the flush, they short the spike, cover the flush till it like finally plays up. I need that full blown like green to red, and then just like lower high and following down the EMAs. That's when I'm at my best, when I just get that trend. I'm a momentum trader, a trend trader. So I'm just not very good at the catching the tops of these things. And so, I caught a couple points here or there. But if this has even a little bit of a gap up tomorrow, I think it's ready to party. The 9 EMA is still quite a bit of ways away. So, I was surprised this thing held up, SBET, which would have been the easier play, just judging by, the past action on this thing. I should have went with this one. It did just as much volume. My thinking was it wasn't as extended, but sometimes what you have to think about is, not just is it extended, but, what's easier to, right? And this would have been an easier play. I think potentially BTAI could be something, 127 to 705. I checked on this a couple days ago. The borrows are a little bit expensive, but okay, so you pay $100 on the borrows for 5, 10,000 shares or whatever you need, whatever, right? Like in the scheme of things, I think when I was looking at it a few days ago, it was $100 for 3,000 shares. So it's significantly, it is expensive, but it's getting there. And if you look at the long-term chart of this thing, right, it's obviously just a big bleeder. They probably got an ATM out, so just something to be a little bit mindful of. So those are kind of just like on the short side of a couple things that I'm doing. Look, in terms of the tech stocks, they all run together, right? So if one drops, they all drop. Like you got reversal on AMD today, but look, it was only down 0.3%, right? So it just gave up intraday gains for the most part. So you could do like they'll all run a little bit together. I think maybe Tesla. I like the long-term chart of Tesla, by the way, a lot. But I think if the market reverses for a couple days, this could be a decent short. Where it just back and fills some of this area because it did get a little bit long in the tooth here. The trend line break is important, but it needs to probably kind of back and fill this area here before and let it tighten up. It seems like the earnings and whatever bad news Tesla's been showing, the market's forgiven it, right? We're just in the runaway market, so we deal with it. So those are probably those shorts that I'm looking for. Now on the long side, there's so many good looking names here that I really would love to get a piece of. Some on the day trade side, some on the swing trade side. On the swing trading side, there's these earnings breakouts where I'm looking for the first pullback, right? So like the shop has a gap up and it's starting to pull back. You've had 3 down days in a row, right? Like, if it can get down into here, I think, somewhere, I got to see where it gets, footing, right? I'm watching the price action closely as it tightens up, but I think this is up our alley. And, frankly, it looks probably ready for some day trades too. Reddit also, like, you're coming into the IPO breakout, the all-time highs. It just post earnings move. It's been up a lot. So like just a few days shakeout. So this will be a 2-tapper, right? So like it's probably tap through. Even if it breaks under, it'll come back and then, work its way into the third test. And that's really where you get the breakouts. But keep an eye on that. It's just fantastic. SOUN is a great daily trader, by the way. Awesome fucking move off the get-go today. Dude, let me just say something about, stop losses. I had this thing today in the morning, right? And I caught it. Like, I thought I had it maybe a little bit too high. And I caught it on this wick, and then it just fucking ripped it, You got to be a little bit looser on these ones, just something to kind of be mindful of. But fantastic look. If you look here, it's clearing out, quite a few levels here. And if you look at the volume pop and stuff like that, I would not be surprised to see this thing come back into this. Like this, obviously this company's a gigantic, piece of excrement, but, this is the market. Like you want to get your hands a little bit dirty, right? If you're going to pick up a turd, may it be the biggest, smelliest one you possibly can, right? Let it smudge your fingers a little bit and get yourself dirty. Like, that's the way we got to do it, right? Like, go get it. If you're chubby chasing, you don't go halfway. You go full-blown hogging, right? Like, that's the way you got to do it. If you're going to be a man, like, that's, if I'm hogging, I'm going big all the way, and that's where we go with SOUN and some of these type of companies, right? Like this is an awesome breakout. You got the volume confirming 200 million, 123 million. Like this thing's got legs on it, right? She's got legs and she knows how to use them. Now look, another one that I'm looking at here. Look at this thing. This is ready to party right now. 1 test, 2 tests, 3 tests, up 7%. It's thin. Let me just say the caveat, the big hairy Indian butt of this is that it's a little bit, it's a little bit thin. It did 3 million shares volume, but it's always got a spread on it. So you got to watch your size. You got to watch how you lever into these things. But man, that's a nice one right there. Really good looker. I think this one, if it opens weak, we red to green it. But frankly, if it breaks this, if it back and fills this a little bit, I think it could be a swing trade too if it can break that 52.90 and the QQQs and IWM are at the right spots. You don't want to take swings if the market looks like it's gonna roll over. So just a couple names that I'm looking at. ASTS had earnings out after hours, so I think this will be something we want to definitely put on our watch list. My worry on this one is that the RKLB, which kind of they run together, it did roll over on its earnings. Just got to keep that in the back of your mind. These gold names are also consolidating here, so gold, or I should say silver, all of them, they're all consolidating here. So I would definitely keep a couple of these like miners on the watch list, like this one, like this is a nice reverse on this one. But if this one back and fills a little bit, I think that one looks pretty good. Let's see here. If you go to like industries, let's go like 30-day, right? Like you can see here, like some of these bad boys are looking, really juicy. Look at that, right? Like look at, I mean that's a muchos buenos, right? Like that's a buenos. Look at this. It's a muchos buenos. It's a buenos. Oh, man. There's all sorts of goodies out here, right? So, look at this. Like, it came back. These are just solid reversals. They're all flat top breakouts. Keep a couple of them tucked away. By the way, when you have a run like this in a sector, gold is still consolidating. So, right there, these miners are kind of pre-front running the actual index. Tuck a couple of these into your 401k, your IRA, if you got a simple IRA, something along that end. I think there's going to be, obviously some opportunities into those to get it going. All right. Beyond that, look, MU guided that is going to make a little bit more cheddars today. So any pullbacks on this one, if it fills this gap here, I think, we're kind of coming into flavor here. Guys, we're in a little bit of a precarious position. The market needs to pull, but when it does, who knows? If you see crypto stocks going, I think this one's really coiled up here too. A WULF, right? Both of those have, the potentials to kind of get this thing going. So just a little word to the wise. Guys, if the audio stinks and all this stuff, my desktop computer blew up. Dude, it's like $7,000 computer, right? Like, but granted, it's a few years old. I have them made every couple of years, and fucking thing blew up. And of course, the guy that made it, was like, "Oh, why don't you mail it back? And let me see if it's there. But in the meantime, you should just buy a new one." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "I'll use my laptop, buddy." Right? Like, I ain't paying. I'm Indian. I ain't paying until I have to. So, here I am. I'm just on my. This is like all for show here. Like I plug this in, but then it's like into a splitter that goes into a USB that goes into the laptop, and who knows if it's even working, right? Fuck it. But I love you guys. Look, the setups are there. Are they like a million hot ones right now? No, there's not. Everything needs to pull a little bit, right? But you're getting there. Like you have a consolidation here. It's nice, but like, is that like really like a hot setup? Like if you didn't know this in the video, like, is that like, muchos buenos? No, it's it's not, right? So, be safe. I'll be in the Boom Boom Room tomorrow, guys. We've had a lot of fucking fun in the chat room. Been doing great on options, equity, swing trades, day trades. We working, baby. We working. So let's go and get it tomorrow. I love you guys. Peace.